G'day guys, Mick here. So today's 5-minute yarn. It's been filmed on Christmas Eve 2021 and I'm down in Nune's little cricket pitch campground or whatever it's called. I've been down here for a couple of nights. I just thought I'd do a quick yarn while I'm here, just about what I look for when it goes to camping. Obviously I look for a campground that's going to be relatively quiet, and very surprisingly I thought this would be really busy, but there's been two other groups down here. One of them's left today. There's still one down here with a couple of young kids. Otherwise we're the only ones down here. It's brilliant. But when it comes to looking for somewhere to go camp, I don't just look for a campground that might be quiet. I look for somewhere that's got something to do. See, especially when I bring the family, they don't like just sitting there doing nothing. My son in particular, he's one of these kids, he normally sits there playing games all day and keeps his mind active playing his games and things like that. So for him, he can't just sit there and chill and just listen to the sounds of nature and things like that. So coming down here to Nunes for this weekend, for this little trip in particular, the first thing I did was I had a look at what else was around the area, you know, and I did it this morning. I went up and did the old shale oil ruins, and my son came with me, and unfortunately he's not the healthiest and ended up turning back reasonably early on. But you see all that in the video for my ruins video. But you know, I had a look and I sort of thought to myself, well, where do we want to go? This spot in particular just looked absolutely amazing, and I know it's a bit out from pretty much everything else, but while we're here, you know, we've been for a bit of a walk, we've checked out things, we've actually come across an abundance of wildlife, which has been amazing out here. But there's a little museum out here. You've got the shale oil ruins as mentioned. Just off Walgan Road, you've got a turn off to go down to Blackfellows Hand Trail. Now I keep forgetting the indigenous name for it, for the hands, but you know, there's a hand trail to go down there. You've got the glowworm tunnel not too far away, things like that. So coming out this way to Lithgow, Nunes, this sort of area, there's a lot here. There's a little museum, an old pub just on the other side of the river, 'cause we're in the cricket pitch campground. So you've got to cross a river, which means you need a four-wheel drive. But there's an old pub over there, which is a little museum in that, which I plan to film, and by this time you would have seen that as part of my Christmas getaway video. You know, but when I look at a campground, I try to find out what there is else to do around there. When I'm up in the Wadigan Mountains, you've got all walking trails, the lookouts, the plane wreck, you've got picnic areas, you've things like that. You know, there's an abundance of lookouts, there's an abundance of beautiful things to see up in the Wadigans. And that's one of the reasons I love going up there. It's not just pull up at camp and sit there, it's pull up at camp and go for a little bit of a walk and, you know, check out a little waterfall or have a look off this massive cliff and things like that. So when it comes to me trying to pick a campground, I always try to have a look at what else there is around that area. What there is to do, not just for me, but for anybody else that might be coming with me, my wife, my son, friends, family, whatever. What is there to really do? I'm not one that will go and find a campground because there's a shitload of hard four-wheel driving tracks around there, because that's not what I want to do. I'm one that will go and find a campground because there's things where you can go for a beautiful walk through the bush and come across waterfalls or views and things like that. You can see amazing rock formations and stuff like the massive mountain up behind me. Or even, you know, I've planned originally to do a trip out through Mudgee and Hill End and stuff like that, and Safala, and it's not just seeing the Turin, it's not just doing the bridle track. I when I finally do get out there, I want to go. I know there's a museum in Mudgee, there's a museum in Hill End, there's some old mines and stuff like that around Hill End. So it's not just a matter of I want to get out there and I want to see, drive through and do the bridle track and cross the bloody Turon River. It's a fact that I actually want to go and see these different places, the museums and the mines, and see some of the history of the area, both after white settlement and pre-white, you know what I'm saying, before and after white settlement. You know, I want to learn a lot of that. So things like wiki camps are a great little option to check out and find out a bit of what's around there, especially on the computer, because you can get so many, you can sort of zoom in so much more and it's so much easier to read things. But you know, same deal, Google, YouTube. Knew that was coming. Yeah, Google, YouTube, Facebook, you know, in some of the camping and touring groups and things like that. Just when you're looking at an area and say, okay, look, I want to head out to this place, what campgrounds would you recommend, and what would you recommend to see while you're out there? Don't just go, where should I stay? What do you recommend I should see? Because I think that's a really big part of what makes the trip so special. Hay fever playing up there. Yeah, it's a big part of what makes the trip so special, is not just getting to a place, but exploring it and learning the history of it and understanding it, and things like that, guys. Because really, this couple of days here has been absolutely amazing. As you've seen through the videos, I've absolutely loved it. We're packing up in the morning and heading back to my mother's, and I kind of wish I didn't have to go because it is really spectacular. And I'm glad I picked it, but I picked it because, not just because it looked nice, but because there's certain things around here that I wanted to see, like the ruins, like the museum, like the hand trail. I'd love to do Glowworm Tunnel, but unfortunately I'm not going to get that in this trip. On the way back, we're stopping in and we're seeing Three Sisters and Wentworth Falls. Again, you would have seen all this in the Christmas video back in January, but you know, at the same time, the trip there and the trip back, what am I wanting to see? Do I want to make a little 20-minute or half an hour pit stops on the way through and see these little spots, things like that? And it's not just the destination, it's the journey that really makes camping and exploring this country so special. So just a bit of food for thought for you guys when it comes to planning your trips. You know, it really is. It's not just about where you're going, it's about the journey, it's about getting there, it's about exploring the area. And you know, the more you take in of the area, the more I feel anyway, the more you feel fulfilled within the journey. Even stopping in this journey, again back to the January video, stopping at the Botanic Gardens, that was a spur of the moment thing. But yeah, even just stopping there, you know, it just so special, and it adds to those memories, especially when it comes to bringing a family along. So, alright guys, I'm sure I've gone well and truly over me 5 minutes, so I'm going to cut it there. So, as always guys, take care, peace, and I'll see you on the tracks.